Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome. It is the 2017 FIM CEV Repsol. We are live in Le Mans. What a great place to have your company. A fantastic opening round we had. It's the Junior Moto3 World Championship. As I said, here in France, round two. We're very, very excited for this one. It's going to be a thrilling race, I am sure. Very interesting start to the weekend, of course, as well. We had wet practice, we had wet qualifying, and the only dry session, or dry-ish session we had was this morning. It was quite damp, actually, out in the warm-up session this morning we had for the Junior Moto3 World Championship, a circuit steeped in history. And, of course, if you did tune in to Albacete just a couple of weeks ago, you will have known that the circuit was the host of the Junior Moto3 World Championship, the Moto2 European Championship, and the European Talent Cup. How wonderfully exciting that was. A great start to the FIM CEV Repsol in 2017, and a great way to kick off this championship, I am sure. So Junior Moto3 here in Le Mans, the FIM CEV Repsol. We are so excited to get this race underway. Here's a recap of the highlights that we had from Albacete. Well, it was Sergio Garcia who started on pole position. Alongside him was Aleix Viu. A very, very exciting way to get the season underway. But it was Makar Yuchenko. Keep an eye out for him on the number 76, the Reali Avintia Academy machine, who was a late charger in this race. Here we go into turn one. It was Jeremy Alcoba who made an absolute barnstormer of a start into the first corner. However, mid-packer, they all tripped up over each other. Raul Fernandez ended up going out and taking Alonso Lopez with him, with Vicente Perez also caught up. Tempers flared as Fernandez ended up out of the race, as did Alonso Lopez. Two favourites, essentially, going into this round. Meanwhile, Alcoba led his way at the front, but Makar Yuchenko on that number 76 made his way past the likes of Aleix Viu and also Ayagura, and it became a four-way scrap at the front as they came down into that very, very difficult left-handed hairpin. Makar Yuchenko briefly led at the front, but number 52 of Jeremy Alcoba would get himself back out into the lead of the race. However, drama happened from third to fourth position as Ayagura ended up going out, whilst Aleix Viu slowed on the racing line with a technical problem. Ayagura was absolutely furious, as you would begin to imagine. And Aleix Viu also retired as well. Both riders out on the spot. Meanwhile, that then meant it was a two-horse race at the front between Jeremy Alcoba and further back as well. There were some great little ding-dong battles going on. Jaume Masia, he was in the pound seats as well, as he ended up battling with the likes of Dennis Foggia. Meanwhile, the two Asia Talent Team riders came to blows at the end of the straight. Kazuki Misaki and the poleman Somkiat Chantra ending up out of the race at the first corner towards the closing stages. Yari Montella had a seriously worrying high side in the closing stages of the race. Fortunately, he was unharmed. His bike lay stricken in the track. The yellow flags were brought out, but he would manage to continue on the race. Then we came on to the final lap of racing, and it was still between Jeremy Alcoba and Makar Yuchenko, and as it came to the line, it was Jeremy Alcoba who took the victory by just a few hundredths of a second to Makar Yuchenko, with Jaume Masia coming home in third position, much to the delight of his team, and I'm sure everybody else in the paddock. A great way to start the FIM CEV Repsol in 2017, and a great way to kick off the Junior Moto3 World Championship. And both riders, they gave each other a fair fight, but they were very, very happy with how the race had gone for all of them. They ended up in Parc Fermé, they were celebrating, they were on the podium just a few moments later, but a great victory for Jeremy Alcoba and a great way to start his 2017 title campaign. So we are here at Le Mans, as I alluded to at the start of this broadcast. Wet conditions have been the story of the weekend. Quite coincidentally, as we ended up going out on track, it would absolutely bucket down for qualifying yesterday at midday, and then when they had their second qualifying session at around about 3:30, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, it also bucketed it down, but it hailed as well, which brought a red flag out in the session. Nonetheless, this man prevailed, the Kazakhstani rider Makar Yuchenko. The 18-year-old won podium and a great start to his season. As you can see, the fans flocking in here in Le Mans. The first real dry session, as I said, of the weekend that we have had so far. Of course, the weather earlier on this morning was somewhat damp, And riders have not had enough time to get some dry track time in. You can see all the riders, 44 of them on the grid. There is a big story, though, as far as it goes, because Raul Fernandez crashed out in that damp warm-up session, and he broke his wrist. He will be out for up to 20 days in recovery, so it looks likely he may end up missing Catalunya. Meanwhile, the victor last time out, Jeremy Alcoba, 15 years old in the Estrella Galicia Junior team. He lines up in second position, so we could see a great Titanic scrap between Yurchenko and Alcoba, despite the positions being reversed at least for the start. What an exciting duel that would be, I am sure. Great to have your company here in Le Mans. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're listening or watching online, whether you're watching around the world. It's going to be an exciting Junior Moto3 World Championship. But this man here scored his first front row start of the season. Aaron Palanco, the 17-year-old, rides with the number 47 with the Leopard racing team. What a man he is. Competed in the CEV last year with the Aspar Mahindra team. Scored a best finish of 11th at Aragon and Jerez, and also in Valencia as well. So good consistent riding from Aaron Palanco. But starting from that front row of the grid, he will mean business going into this weekend. And I'm sure we'll get that. Three very strong riders starting from the front row of the grid. Of course, Raul Fernandez was due to start from 4th position, but as he won't start, this man will start in his place. Somkiat Chantra, the Thailand rider. It was all going so well for him in the race. He started from pole position, of course, and then it all went sour when he ended up colliding with his teammate Kazuki Masaki. He's ready, he means business, and he will be back to fight, I'm sure, at the front end of the grid. Keep an eye out for Somkiat Chantra on the Asia Talent team, starting from the second row in 4th position. There is Makar Yurchenko, just making some adjustments on his machine, getting in the zone. It's all important to keep focused and keep calm. Meanwhile, alongside on the second row of Somkiat Chantra will be this man, the Czech rider Filip Salak, riding on the KTM with the number 12 is Filip Salak. Competed in the Red Bull Rookies in 2016. Finished 9th overall with a best finish of 5th position. Also competed in the CEV Repsol at Albacete as well with a best finish of 15th. So he is no slouch, and he looked very good last time out in Albacete, continuing that form over here this weekend into Le Mans. And the second row start, the middle of the second row, well, we saw a second row blast from Jeremy Alcoba last time on the Estrella Galicia machine. Will we see a similar ride from Filip Salak, the Czech rider? That'll be very interesting to find out. My name is Tom Brooks. I'll be guiding you through the broadcast this weekend. Here's a man who was very, very unlucky last time out, Alonso Lopez. Just got caught up in that incident with Raul Fernandez on that opening lap. We saw the highlights just a few minutes before this broadcast started, and he will be meaning to get himself back up towards the sharp end of the grid. You can see at the front end of the grid, there's the 5-minute board displayed, so not long until we get racing underway. We're very excited to get the Junior Moto3 World Championship go here in Le Mans, because of course it is a support round to the Grand Prix here this weekend. Keep an eye out for this man as well, another rider who suffered cruel fate last time out in Albacete. It's Jari Montella. He starts from 7th position on the grid at the head of row 3. The Italian rider riding with the SIC 58 Squadra Course team, of course, suffered that really nasty high side towards the latter stages of this race. His bike lay stricken in the track. However, Montella was able to get himself away from danger, and he would end up just ruining his mistake. Unfortunately, it all went sour for him. The championship, of course, going into this round does indeed reflect the championship, the rating finishing order that we had last time out in Albacete. Celestino Vietti Ramos, the Italian rider riding with the VR46 Academy outfit. Keep an eye out for him as well. He had a bit of a slow start to his season in Albacete. Didn't quite click for him there, but I'm sure he'll be meaning business for this weekend. He could be a bit of a dark horse, and he starts, of course, from 8th position on the grid. Lining up alongside him, though, is this man, the Briton, Rory Skinner. One of his best qualifying of the season so far. He's got a point to prove this year. Lies 9th in the championship with 7 points, does Rory Skinner, and it's really a make-or-break year for him. I was talking to Mark Keane last time out in Albacete, and he said it's going to take them a couple of rounds to get up to speed, but he looked quick this morning, did Rory Skinner. Didn't perhaps reflect that on the results, but his lap times and his consistency especially means that he could be a bit of a dark horse in this race. It all went sour for him, of course, last time out in Albacete, at least in the practice sessions. In the race, he ended up finishing in 9th position, and of course, where he's starting on the grid in 9th place, He'll be looking to improve on this. Apiwat Wongtananon, he was sitting in 5th place for a very long time in the race, and it all went wrong for him on the final lap as well. He lost 2-3 positions on the final lap and ended up coming home the line in 8th place behind Sergio Garcia and Bruno Archi, but ahead of Rory Skinner. So keep an eye out for Apiwat Wongtananon, part of the VR46 Master Camp team, of course, who have been doing a lot of training these last few weeks. Meanwhile, this man here, the number 5, Jaume Masia, podium last time out, starts from 11th position on the grid, the middle of the 4th row. That would have been a real confidence boost for the Spanish rider, Jaume Masia. Born in Valencia in Spain, of course, did very well in the Moto3 CEV Championship last year. 15th overall, best finish of 7th, and even better the year before that, actually. So he'll be looking to get back to form, and of course, I'm sure, fighting up towards the top end of the grid. The fans flocking in. You can see a really good crowd here in Le Mans as well. That's great to see. Meanwhile, this is Sergio Garcia. Again, a rider who looked very quick and very consistent in the practice and qualifying sessions, and also in the race as well, because he came across in his first ever CEV race in 7th position. That was a great result for Sergio Garcia. Competed in the Prix Moto3 Championship last year, just 14 years of age as well. That's the name of the game in the Junior Moto3 World Championship, is to get riders in nice and young and get them moving up to the World Championship before too long. There is Makar Yuchenko, the pole man. The bright red number 76 on his helmet makes him very easily distinguishable. And as you can tell, he will be very excited. The first ever Kazakhstani rider to finish on the podium in the FIM CEV Repsol, and he could be, at the end of the checkered flag today, the first rider to take victory. He starts from pole position. Alongside him will be Jeremy Alcoba and Aaron Palenko. Row 2 is Somkiat Chantra, Philippe Salak and Alonso Lopez. The 3rd row of the grid, Yari Montella, Celestino Vietti Ramos, and then Rory Skinner, the British rider, at the end of row 3. Heading row 4 is Apiwat Wongtananon, Jaume Masia and Sergio Garcia. Row 5 is Gabriel Martinez Abrego, Aleix Viu, who was mightily impressive last time out, but for that mechanical failure. Angel Lorente in 15th place. Yuki Kuni, the Age of Talent team rider, the only rider, of course, to finish the race last time out in Albacete for the Age of Talent team. He heads row 6. Row 7, Andy Verdois, the hometown hero. Number 25, he lines up in 19th place. Stefano Nepa in 20th. Jose Julian Garcia, Jacito Garcia, as we refer to him in the commentary boxes, in 21st. Jason De Pasquia, Kasmayuddin, Masaki, Ayagura, Matteo Gadini, and Vincente Perez. And then towards the, I want to say the rear end of the grid, but there's so many riders competing here this weekend that it's not really. Row 10, Mattia Cassidy, Charlie Nesbitt, Filippo Fellini, Josh Owens, Lorenzo Petrarca, Riccardo Rossi, Bruno Aracci, then Gerard Riou. And further back, row 13, Ryan van Laagmaert, then Lorien Faber, Rufino Florido, Chandler Cooper, the Australian rider, Andrea Cavalieri, Clement Rouge, Livan Luchel, and Heng Su, the Chinese rider, completes the grid. And the pace these guys were setting in the morning warm-up this morning was not too dissimilar to what we have seen as the warm-up gets underway in the Moto3 World Championship. So that is a great starting point for these riders. As I said, the first dry session is very much like it was in Albacete, where we had wet qualifying all weekend. There's a thunder of bikes going past the commentary box. They get this warm-up lap underway, and they're going a bit into the unknown, of course, with the wet weather conditions that we've had so far this weekend. And the dry conditions will be a big step for these riders. We're very much looking forward to seeing how they get on. Just saw Jacito Garcia with Yuki Kuni behind him. Keep an eye out for those two riders. They're very, very quick, especially in these conditions, and I reckon we could see quite a few surprises in this race. We saw Somkiat Chantra, of course, starting on pole last time out in Albacete, but he ended up fading, or was actually battling for the podium position, and then, of course, ended up being involved in a collision with his teammate with the Asia Talent team. So a bad day in the office for them. They'll be looking to rectify that, and I'm sure get themselves a better finish on the grid. Here's how the championship lines up with the top 4. Jeremy Alcoba, of course, this reflects the results from Albacete. Alcoba on 25 points, Yuchenko on 20 points, Jaume Masia on 16 points, and then Denis Foggia on 4 points. Keep an eye out for Dennis as well. He's a very, very quick rider on his day, and I reckon he could be, as I've mentioned so many times already in commentary, a bit of a dark horse in this race. 43 riders set to take to the grid for this Junior Moto3 World Championship. It's going to be very, very exciting indeed as they head down into the Chemin of Bus S's, the turn 9 and 10's corner. A very popular overtaking opportunity, of course, towards the end of that back straight. The only back straight, or the longest back straight here, or the longest straight in Le Mans, is just 674 metres. If you compare that to the long straight we had on the start-finish straight, just over a kilometre in Albacete, very, very short indeed. But these Junior Moto3 World Championship machines do often provide some very, very exciting racing, and we're looking forward to seeing how these riders get on. There is the poleman, Makar Yuchenko from Kazakhstan. He comes around the final corner, and he will, of course, line up on pole position. Just to remind you, alongside him will be Jeremy Alcoba and Aaron Palenko. Row 2 will be Somkiat Chantra, Philippe Salak and Alonso Lopez, as Makar Yuchenko takes his position on the grid. Tension is beginning to build. A great crowd here in Le Mans as well, as Alonso Lopez just warming up his tyres, warming up his brakes for the last time, and slots neatly into that second place on the grid. On the outside of the front row, it is the number 47, Aaron Palenko. It's going to be a very exciting start to this race in the Junior Moto3 World Championship here in Le Mans. Last riders just taking their positions on the grid. You can see the heat haze as well. It's certainly not cold here at Le Mans. Nice and warm. Not much wind either. We wait for the green flag to be waved at the back, which it is so now. We wait for the red flag then to go from the front, and then the lights will come on. 17 laps await the riders here at the Junior Moto3 World Championship here in Le Mans. Makar Yuchenko on pole position. Lights out and away we go. A great start from Yuchenko. He gets a brilliant getaway. Alonso Lopez also equally away well. Aaron Palenko looks like he's got an equally good start. He's in third position, but as they come in towards the sweeping left-hander and then up into the Dunlop chicane, will Alonso Lopez challenge for the lead? He's trying for it. Will he do it? Yes, he will. Alonso Lopez leads in towards the first corner. A great start there, but he runs it off. He runs wide. That's a disaster for Alonso Lopez, and contact further down as well. One of the Rins bikes caught up in there. My goodness me, looks like one of the FAL 55 racing machines were also caught up. It was pretty inevitable, really, given the number of riders we had starting on the grid. An absolute disaster there, unfortunately, for all the riders that have been caught up in there. Number 15 we saw in and amongst the mix. That was Matteo Guidini, so he will go no further, having started towards the back end of the grid. Meanwhile, it is Makar Yuchenko who leads the way. Second place of Somkiat Chandra. Third at the moment is Alonso Lopez. A great start from all involved. That Rins 42 bike of FIM will be looking to make progress after a disappointing qualifying. He started way down the order, did FIM in 14th position, I apologise. And he'll be looking to make some headway. Meanwhile, it is Makar Yuchenko who leads with 17 laps remaining. Somkiat Chantra and Alonso Lopez are very, very close. They come down in towards the S's for the first time. Turns 9 and 10 they go. Somkiat Chandra in second place, and Makar Yuchenko still holding on to that lead as they go through in towards the final sector of the lap. I actually had the pleasure of commentating on the Moto3 Junior World Championships earlier on today, and it's really interesting to see how these riders are tackling it. Meanwhile, there's some great argy-bargy going on further back for fourth position as well. Aaron Palenko coming under some pressure from behind in the form of the Estrella Galicia team of Alonso Lopez, is making some great headway in this race. Jeremy Alcoba sitting there in third position, Jeremy Alcoba, the number 52. Across the line for the first time they go. Yuchenko leads from Somkiat Chantra. Jeremy Alcoba and Somkiat Chantra looks to try and take over at the front of this race. Through the right-hander they go. Cuts his nose off, does Makar Yuchenko. Can't quite do it into there. Into the Dunlop chicane we go. Jaume Masia just running wide ever so slightly, but managing to hold on. Want somebody running wide, one of the Petronas bikes getting caught up in and amongst the mix. Some great racing going on further down as well, as Alonso Lopez looks to try and make his way past Aaron Palenko. That's for fourth position in this race. The two Estrella Galicia bikes working hand in hand at the moment as Yuchenko comes under ever more pressure from Somkiat Chandra. Into the left-hander we go. Some great racing going on here in Le Mans for the Junior Moto3 World Championship, and it's Yuchenko from Chandra, from Jeremy Alcoba in third position. Fourth place still looks to be being held on to just by a whisker by the other Estrella Galicia bike of Alonso Lopez, who's looking to make amends, of course, after that tough time last time out. A bit of a look over the shoulder for Jeremy Alcoba in third position, but everybody holding on very nicely indeed. And you can see the straight line speed of that Honda Team Asia bike as they come down the back straight into the S-bends of turn 9 and 10, and he hits the front, does Somkiat Chantra. That's a great bit of overtaking there from the number 35, and Alonso Lopez also fancying a bit of the action as Alcoba's shuffle back. Lopez looks up the inside into turns 12 and 13. Can't quite find a way through there. Bit too little too late there for Lopez, but a great ride Estrella Galicia bike sitting in 3rd and 4th position in this race. Apiwat Wongtananon's in 6th position as well. He's having a good run so far. Meanwhile, into the pit lane, that's the number 88 machine. That's a build disaster there for Bruno Araki. He will go no further in this race. Looks like it's a mechanical failure for him. Or perhaps he may have been caught up in the first corner contact. I didn't quite see that. Maybe we'll get a replay. Meanwhile, 3 wide for the lead as we come down into the first corner of turn 1. Brilliant start from Yurchenko as he hits the front. Now ahead of Alonso Lopez. Lopez into 2nd, Solskjaer Chandra into 3rd, but Lopez goes into the lead but runs it wide again. My goodness me, that's going to be the story of the afternoon, isn't it? Into that Dunlop chicane. He ran it wide into there. That was very, very close indeed. He still leads the way, but he has gained a bit of an advantage. I wonder if we'll see some kind of a penalty if he doesn't give the place back, but he does look over his shoulder to Makar Yurchenko in 2nd place, and it looks like before long he will indeed give that position back, or at least let up the advantage that he gained. So Lopez leads the way. 2nd place of Makar Yurchenko. Solskjaer Chandra in 3rd position. Alcobra in 4th. Palanco 5th. Sergio Garcia has made a great start. He's up into 6th place, just ahead of Dennis Foggia as well. Foggia doing a great job so far in this race. Yari Montella is 8th. Jaume Masia 9th. And Apiwat Wongtananon's actually lost a few positions over the last couple of corners and is now down into P10 with Rory Skinner just outside in 11th place. So 2 laps done here at the Junior Moto3 World Championship in Le Mans. Makar Yurchenko leads the way as Alonso Lopez ducks out under the bubble. He looks up the inside of Chandra, and before they've even made turns 9 and 10, he's made the corner as well. A brilliant piece of overtaking, and now he fancies the lead. My goodness, that was very close, wasn't it? Unbelievable riding there as Alonso Lopez hits the front of this race. Fantastic riding from the Estrella Galicia rider, and 2nd place now being held onto by Solskjaer Chandra. As having a look at the inside, looks like it's Dennis Foggia and Aaron Palanco. Very close racing indeed with the VR46 team. Absolutely wonderful as we come in towards the final 2 turns. So leading the way is Alonso Lopez. Absolutely brilliant racing here in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. So Lopez leads from Solskjaer Chandra. Makar Yurchenko in 3rd position. Aaron Palanco is in 4th place. And I'm delighted to say, joining me in the commentary box is Suzuki MotoGP rider Alex Rins. Alex, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Very well indeed, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Hi, everybody.
Wonderful to have you along. There's a great battle going on for the lead. It's getting very close out in front between what looks to be the number 52. Indeed it is, leading the way of Jeremy Alcoba. He hits the front. It was very argy-bargy into there. This CEV race, Alex, is really something to behold.
Yeah. They are riding really hard. They enjoy these motorbikes, no? So I think that they are really young riders with a lot of talent, no? And they can go at full gas.
Absolutely. Here we are with a replay of the start. Just a great getaway from all involved, and of course there was an incident in the first corner. Now of course you're fielding a team in the Junior Moto3 World Championship as well, and unfortunately one of your riders,
one of my riders crashed in the first corner,
caught up in a bit of a concertina effect. There were so many riders going into there, it was kind of inevitable, but it was a nasty crash, wasn't it?
Too much riders, massive. Yeah.
It's always very tight into that corner. Here's another angle of that accident. Here we are. You see Fellini on the Rins machine just going over the bike. That was very nasty indeed. Fortunately, looks like all riders are okay after that.
This is the important thing, that all riders are okay. And what I say, they are really talented riders, no? So...
Absolutely pushing hard, and number 42, that looks like it's Aleix Viu who's come down into pit road, so that's a real shame for him because of course a DNF in Albacete and a non-finish as well, not the way that he'll have wanted to start the season. Yeah,
it's a really hard start of the season for him. I think that he have a really good talent, no, and he's angry, no, for do something, but maybe it's a little bit unlucky, no, these 2 races.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, out in front, Dennis Foggia has come from absolutely nowhere, up from 5th position to lead the way. Dennis Foggia on number 71 is out in front. Alonso Lopez in 2nd place. Jeremy Alcoba into 3rd position. Some great scraps going on further down the order as well. Looks like it was Sergio Garcia who's caught up in and amongst the mix as well on the number 14 Estrella Galicia bike. Meanwhile, that's Jacinto Garcia who's gone down the road in the Dunlop chicane. That's a real shame for him. Very easy to lose the front into that corner from what we've seen.
Yeah, we saw many crashes, no, on the MotoGP and Moto2. I think that maybe the track is a little bit slippery.
No grip, of course, because of course of the wet weather that we've had over the weekend.
Exactly.
Exactly. Meanwhile, leading the way is still Dennis Foggia. Jaume Macia's made an absolutely barnstormer as well. He's now leading the way and tapping on his backside to try and get them to follow him. And Macia now leads. A great race involved with these guys.
Yeah, really great race for Macia, because I think here racing with KTM, no?
He's riding the number 5 of Jaume Macia. Is actually, riding with a KTM machine. You're absolutely right there. Doing a great job out on track, and of course he's fresh off of a podium last time out in the CEV. Were you at Albacete last time?
No, I don't watch in Albacete because I broke really earlier my hand, so I was looking from the TV.
And how is the recovery going with your injury, of course, sitting out this weekend at Le Mans? I can imagine it's frustrating for you. Yeah,
it's a little bit strange, no? See the motorbikes from the other part, no? From house. Finally, I was in Andorra last week, and I say, come on, I go to Le Mans because it's impossible to stay more time without doing nothing, no? But I think that this race, it's hard for these riders because it's just the first time that they are racing with dry conditions.
Absolutely, it's always very close in the Junior Moto3 World Championship, and it is Macia that leads the way then from Dennis Foggia. Alonso Lopez in 3rd, and Jeremy Alcoba is in P4 as they go through in towards the left-hander of Museum. And Macia is looking great at it. As I said, he showed some good pace, and Dennis Foggia as well. He was a little bit unlucky last time out, was Dennis Foggia in some of the sessions, as that looks like, is that Jari Montella that's gone down the road on the number 27?
Casadei,
it is.
Yeah.
Mattia Cassidy. That's a real shame for him. The 658 bike's not suffering too well. Oh, that was lost the rear end, didn't he?
Lucky, eh?
Very lucky indeed, not to get collected by the riders.
Yeah.
Very close indeed. Mattia Cassidy unfortunately crashes out. Hopefully he'll be able to get going. Meanwhile, Dennis Foggia looking to try and take another victory in the FIM CEV Repsol. For Sylvain Guintoli riding your bike this weekend, how does it feel to have another rider out on your baby?
The feeling was strange, you know, because this, like, I don't know, something strange, no? But I think that it's a really important work what he are doing for Suzuki, because it's not easy not to develop the bike, and if I can develop, just he bring to Suzuki one hand, and this is good.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Vicente Perez has moved up to 7th position at the expense of Sergio Garcia over that last lap. Meanwhile, we saw the 2 Asia Talent Team riders working in unison. Kazuki Misaki in 9th place, Somkiat Chantra in P10, and Ayagura actually in P11 as well. So the 3 riders, as Chantra goes wide into that Dunlop chicane, just trying to bite off a bit more than he could chew. But Macia leading the way in this race, 0.2 of a second, and the fastest lap last time around as well. As we said, of course, the first dry session with these Junior Moto3 bikes, Alex, and it's really a step into the unknown for these riders as well with the dry track, isn't it, for this race? A real step into the unknown with these riders, because of course we've got a dry track and it's been wet all weekend.
Yeah, exactly. This is difficult, no? Because you during the qualifying sessions, no, you are trying to take a good setup, no, to find a good setup for the race, and now the race is on a dry conditions, no. So, for example, for many riders that they are racing last year here, maybe they can follow a little bit the setup from last year. But for example, in my case, for Alex Viu and Filippo Foligni, it's the first time not that they are racing here in Le Mans, so it's a little bit strange.
Here's a replay of some argy-bargy going on between them. Look at that, very close from Chandra, collided with a Lopez. There'll be some scuffs on the bike and on the leathers after that. And I mean, Moto3 always lends itself to close racing, Alex, as well, and that's no exception here. It's still very close on track.
Yeah. They are riding very close. Yeah, as you can see, I don't know, the first group, it's with 9 or 10 guys. Now Macia is pushing hard for trying to open a little bit the gap, and Dennis Foggia is trying to follow him.
Yes, indeed. Dennis Foggia, of course, chasing that elusive CEV victory. He finished second in Valencia in the first round, and somebody goes wide. Is that one of the Estrella Lethia bikes going off into the first corner? We'll try and keep an eye on it. No, they're all still in third and fourth. It might have been actually Sergio Garcia who went a bit wide into that corner, but still Macia leads the way. But Foggia really piling on the pressure. And I mean, you've had experience in Moto3, Alex, as well. What's it like when you're following these riders so closely? Does it help you? Does it distract you?
For example, for Foggia, No, if he's intelligent, in my case, I will try to follow Garcia, no, and trying to open the gap, because now Garcia looks like he's comfortable riding first, and yeah, this is a good thing.
Certainly is. The two Estrella Galicia bikes. There's Alonso Lopez, just followed by Jeremy Alcoba. Meanwhile, there in the Estrella Galicia team, everyone keeping very happy.
Yeah, Bastianini.
Looks pretty happy with the Estrella Galicia bike's progress. Sergio Garcia is in 9th place. Just a shout out to the British riders as well, in the form of Rory Skinner, who's sitting in 13th place, so he's lost a couple of positions off the start. Daniel Jones, the British Moto Star champion of last year, he's in 16th position, and Charlie Nesbitt in 19th as well, so the Brits not having too bad of a run, but I'm sure we'll be looking to make progress with 10 laps remaining, as it's getting very close indeed between Yurchenko and Palenko.
Yeah. You know which time Moto3 riders did on the World Championship?
In the World Championship, I can't remember the pole time off the top of my head. In terms of the combined free practice that we had a 1:51, and the lap times that we had in qualifying were not too dissimilar, but that was in wet conditions. In dry, again, these riders not too far, about a second or so off, so still very close.
Not too far at the time, yeah.
Indeed. Meanwhile, some great racing going on as they come down into La Chapelle. What a great part of the lap this is. Yurchenko fights off.
Yurchenko's fighting, eh?
He really is. He's getting elbows out, and we've seen he's very good at close racing. Last time out in Albacete, he was able to follow right to the very tee, right to the very end of the race, the number 52 of Jeremy Alcoba. Didn't duck a wheel out too much. Meanwhile, the top 3 riders there, Alex, have kind of broken away a little bit as well into their own group. Yeah,
we will see in the last laps, because Foggia and Alonso are looking...
Very close indeed. Contact as well as Yurchenko and the number 31 machine go off of the circuit. That looks like it was Masaki. Yes, indeed, Kazuki Masaki. There's so many Asia talent riders. It's difficult to keep up 4 bikes on the grid for these guys. Meanwhile, manages to hold up. Vicente Perez now battling with the number 47 of Aaron Palenko. Perez up the inside, makes the move stick. And now taps on his backside again to say, just follow me for a second, and we'll manage to catch that group out in front.
Yeah, what I was saying, it's Foggia and... No, here is the replay from the action.
Very close indeed. Masaki, very late on the entry there from Yurchenko.
Yeah.
Lucky to stay on both of the bikes, weren't they?
Foggia and Lopez are studying a little bit to Garcia, so we will see last laps, because Garcia don't have reference, no, for make the last laps. I don't know, we will see.
Indeed, 0.2 of a second separates the top 2 riders. A personal best as well. Lace Vio rider okay, Mattia Cassidy rider okay, and Jacito Garcia rider okay. These riders, of course, who all ended up falling in this race, but are thankfully all okay. There's Philippe Salac, who started from the 2nd row of the grid. He's sitting a little bit further down the order than perhaps he would like, Philippe Salac, at the moment. Down in 14th position, so just inside the points as he was as he came across the timing line, but nonetheless, he'll be looking to regroup, I'm sure. And the Asia Talent Team riders all sitting line astern, with Masaki and Chantra in the front and rear of that sandwich at the moment. Incredibly close as Vicente Perez gets it all out wide. Aaron Palenko coming under some pressure from Masaki. Ayagura looking up the inside of Masaki as well. Let's hope they don't do what happened in Albacete. Two Asia Talent Team riders taking each other out at the end of the start
on the first corner, no?
The first corner, absolutely. It was a very nasty impact there. There is Vicente Perez. This is the battle for 5th place as Masaki ducks out from under the slipstream, looks his way up the inside of Palenko on the Leopard racing bike, gets the move done and dusted into that corner. And that's one of the real overtaking spots here in Le Mans.
Yeah.
Really is. So Aaron Palenko sits there in 7th place, really coming under some pressure now. Back with the leading group, Jaume Masia on the number 5, looking to try and break away from these riders. But it's so difficult to do so because the slipstream here, Alex, is so important in Moto3.
The slipstream is very, very important in Moto3, because when you are behind one rider, you can win easy 0.5 on the straight. So here, finally, you have one long straight. It's the exiting from corner 8. No, but for example, in Qatar or in Texas, that you have a really big straight, for make the lap time, it's with one rider on the front, it's easier.
Certainly is. Meanwhile, Dennis Foggia had a bit of a look up the inside of Jaume Masia. Masia managed to hold on as Alonso Lopez still fancying a bit of that action. Just 7 laps remaining here at the Le Mans in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. And he's in a really unfortunate position, actually, Dennis Foggia, because he has to attack Jaume Masia and he has to defend as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that Alonso Lopez is riding really, really easy, really comfortable, so maybe he has something on his pocket.
Yeah, fastest lap last time around for Alonso Lopez, and news coming to us on the timing screens that Jari Montella, the other 658 bike, has also crashed out, but fortunately he is okay. There he is. That's a real shame for Jari Montella. 2 races and 2 DNFs for the Italian rider. Let's have a look, see if we can get a replay of the crash here. Here we are, look at the back of the shot, just a look at the inside.
Oh, lucky the Japanese, no?
The Asian talent rider, yeah, didn't get caught up too much in that. That was very close indeed. My goodness me, they're having a bit of a battering, the Asian talent riders today, aren't they? So Jaume Masia leads the way. Dennis Foggia, the Italian rider, looking for that elusive first victory.
Foggia need overtakes Masia, because I think that Masia is riding a little bit slow now, because Jeremy Alcoba is catching him, no?
Absolutely. I've just had a look back to my notes as well, and all 3 riders who are battling at the top are all chasing their first victory as well. And it's all about confidence in Moto3, isn't it? It really is all about having confidence with the bike and confidence in yourself. Yeah,
when you have confidence on yourself and confidence on the bike, you can ride really fast. Yeah,
absolutely. As Dennis Foggia now hits the front into the Dunlop chicane, now ahead of Jaume Masia on the Cunha de Compañeros machine. Lopez not looking too bad, and Jeremy Alcoba, he's closed up over the last couple of laps.
Yeah.
Looking like a real threat.
Yeah.
You can see the team watching on. There's Nico Tirol. What's he up to now, Nico Tirol? Any ideas what Nico Tirol's doing nowadays?
I think that he's doing... he's helping to the Aspar riders.
So working as a rider coach?
Yeah, I think.
Very exciting indeed. For Nico Tirol, of course, Moto2 Grand Prix victor, and of course the 125cc World Champion in 2011. Now, of course, in Moto3, speaking of Moto3, this race as Alcoba gets himself ahead of Lopez gets himself ahead as they go just in front of the number 2 machine of Heng Su, the Chinese rider. Getting out of the way and off the racing line. Some very close racing indeed, trying to find his way up the inside is Alcoba. And gets it done and dusted, and Masia running wide as well. He'll gain an advantage, but sensibly drops back.
Masia did a small mistake on exiting from corner 8.
Oh dear, and that's Masaki that's gone down. That's a real shame there. The Asia Talent Team riders have been in the wars so far this race, and this is no exception. Let's have a look. Front end into Garage Vert.
Many crashes from the front. Yeah, maybe the track conditions are not the best ones.
Well, we haven't had the tyre allocation for these bikes, so some riders might be running the soft tyres, some might be running the hard tyres as well. So
yeah, it's open, no?
It is, yeah, the hard and soft tyres they've got, so we don't know what they're running on, so that could be a bit of a factor in this race. Meanwhile, Dennis Foggia now has a 0.3 of a second gap to Alonso Lopez. Jeremy Alcoba trying to find his way up the inside. That's very deep. He's very wide, but he manages to hold it on into the Dunlop chicane. A brilliant double overtake from Alcoba, but Foggia fights it back on the exit as they come down into La Chapelle. Very close indeed.
Nice overtake, yeah.
That was beautifully done from Dennis Foggia, and we've seen the threat of rain here this weekend, but it looks like, even though there are a few clouds now coming overhead, fortunately it's going to stay away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Jeremy Alcoba, second place. Alonso Lopez in 3rd position. This is how quickly Moto3 changes. Just a couple of laps to go. The running order was all different to this. Jaume Masia was leading the way, and now he's in 4th place, but looking to try and make that 3rd as they come down into Garage Vert as Lopez goes up the inside of his teammate. The one rule you have in racing, don't take out your teammates.
Maybe now Emilio Zamora, he's sitting his
biting his fingernails,
on the box, inside the box.
You can well imagine Slipstream City once again as they come down into turn 9. Great racing indeed. So Foggia leads the way. Alonso Lopez gets himself up into 2nd place. And then the number 5 of Masia looks up the inside into turn 12. The S-bends, the right and then the left. Masia gets himself up into P2. Great result there on the KTM bike. Of course, all these bikes battling out in front. We've got 2 KTMs leading the way and 2 Hondas in 3rd and 4th position in the second little group that we've got going on. So that's really exciting. Great to see different manufacturers battling.
Yeah. It's great to see many manufacturers on the top. Yeah.
Really is. 4 laps now remaining. The race really coming to a head. Vicente Perez still in 5th place, Ayagura in 6th, Sompiat Chandra 7th, Aaron Polanco 8th, Sergio Garcia is 9th, and Rory Skinner, the British rider, on the number 69 on that KTM, is in P10. Meanwhile, Apiwat Montella has fought himself back up to 11th.
The second group, it's really big, eh?
It really is, yeah. Vicente Perez has got some
9 riders on the...
He's got some real pressure from behind. Yeah. Ayagura, of course, ended up going out last time with VU's technical problem, and is now looking to try and get himself a good top 5 finish on the board.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, they always say that you can't win the championship in the first round, but you can certainly lose it.
Exactly, yeah.
Very close indeed, as up the inside of Agura goes Sompiat Chantra, but Chantra ran it a bit wide as they went through the left-hander of Museum. And still in that little group as Sergio Garcia sticks his leg out. Meanwhile, that's very close, very deep as well. My goodness, I didn't think he was going to hold on to that for a second. Meanwhile, at the front of the race, Foggia leads the way, Macia, Lopez and Alcoba. A 4-way scrap for the lead with 4 laps remaining. Alex, who's your money on for the victory in this race? Who do you think's going to do it?
Wow, I don't know. Macia looks like really strong, but Foggia also are really strong. No? So we will see how the looks now. Is Valentino
looks on. He's keeping a close eye on Foggia, isn't he? Foggia looking for that elusive first victory. In fact, all the riders battling in this front group, all looking for their first victory. That's something I don't think we've seen in CEV before now. So that's really very exciting indeed. As Macia hits the front, but Foggia tries to hold it around the outside. A very close corner into that right-hander. Foggia looks to try and find his way up the inside, but Macia holds on to that lead. 3 laps now remaining. Oh, bit of a wobble from the front there. Doesn't look like much on the TV, but what does it feel like?
No, on the bike you can feel really high. Yeah. I was thinking on the past when I was riding the Moto3 bike, for example, on a hard corner, on a hard brakes, I can feel a little bit the slide, no? When I arrive to the box, I say, wow, I did a really big sliding, no? And they say, but on the TV, you don't do nothing.
It's really very exciting. Great to see the difference as well, and fantastic to get a rider's insights. Tom Brooks and Alex Rins in the commentary box with you, guiding you through this Junior Moto3 World Championship race. 3 laps now remaining, and Macia just getting a couple of tenths of a second over Dennis Foggia in second. Yeah,
he's pushing really hard for trying to open a little bit the gap.
To a tenth of a second separated them as they came through that last sector into the S-bend we go. This is a great part of the lap, and it's not really an overtaking spot on Grand Prix bikes, but on Moto3 machines it certainly is.
Yeah, on Moto3 machines we can show a lot of overtakes. Yeah.
Really is very exciting indeed. So Macia leads the way. They'll have 2 laps remaining as they come over the timing line here at Le Mans, the Junior Moto3 World Championship. 4 riders battling for the lead of the race. Meanwhile, Aaron Polanco has slipped down the order. He's now in 6th position, just lost out to Ayagura, with Vicente Perez just in front of Agura in P5 as well.
As you can see, during all the track, Macia opened 0.3, no, the gap, and now on the straight, finally on the first corner with the slipstream, they are all together, no?
A 1:44.008, that's the fastest lap, understandably, that we've seen all weekend from Jaume Macia. And that is very good pace, even if these bikes, of course, are just that tiny little bit slower than the Moto3 World Championship machines that we see on track. Foggia looks to try and find his way through. No way through there as they go into Museum, and then they head up into that double apex right-hander of Garage Ver. What's your favourite corner on the track?
My favourite corner on this track, it's the number 6.
Number 6 of La Chapelle.
Yeah, it's really nice. On a Moto2 bike, because MotoGP I don't try. On a Moto2 bike, you exit sliding with the gas. No, so this is nice.
Absolutely. I can imagine going down that hill whilst you're on the brakes and trying to hold on. It must be so exciting.
And for me, the most difficult corner for Moto2, no, and Moto3 I don't remember, it's number 10 and 9-10.
The S-bends after the back straight. Yeah, that's really exciting. often prone to overtaking on these machines as well, as we can see. Garcia setting fastest sector after fastest sector. There'll be 1 lap remaining as we come into the final corner once more. So 4 riders battling for the lead. If you've just joined us here at the Junior Moto3 World Championship, it's Garcia, Dennis Foggia, Alonso Lopez and Jeremy Alcoba all battling for the lead. Last lap of racing here in Le Mans. So exciting. Jaume Garcia, he's got the bit between his teeth, but so has Dennis Foggia. All these riders battling for their first victory. Lopez had a look then, didn't he?
I think that Lopez he can win, because they on the past they did a really good end of the races.
It's so close as they come down Alex's favourite corner through La Chapelle in towards the left-hander of Museum in just a couple of moments' time. Foggia is coming under pressure from the Estrella Galicia bikes. Alonso Lopez up the inside. That's very late, but managed to hold on and not come into contact, as well as we've seen through a few riders. So Garcia leads the way as they come in towards the left-hander of Garage-Ver. Very close on the brakes between the number 21. Dennis Foggia in second place. This is so close between all of them as they come down that back straight. Now this is where it's going to count.
Yeah, this is the important thing, no? On the straight, the slipstream. Look, Foggia's trying to overtake Garcia.
He's trying his way up the inside. Is he going to make it stick? Will he go deep? No! Oh dear! Disaster for Jaume Garcia. He drops the front into turn 9. He's going to be devastated. He was going for his first victory. Foggia was up the inside. Garcia runs back to the bike. That's a disaster for the Spanish rider. And now it's a 3-way battle to the line. Unbelievable stuff in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. Lopez looks to try and find his way through. Dennis Foggia as they come into record on the final corner. Lopez up the inside. Alonso Lopez, he gets it. He's going to take the victory here in Le Mans. What a race.
What a final lap, eh?
What an incredible final lap. 48 hundredths of a second separated Alonso Lopez and Dennis Foggia across the line. It's not done further down as well. My goodness, that was very close from P5 onwards, wasn't it? But it was Lopez that took the victory. 48 hundredths ahead of Dennis Foggia. Jeremy Alcoba in third position and Jaume Garcia.
Unlucky, eh?
It's all gone wrong. That's a disaster for Jaume Garcia. He'll be very disappointed with that one, but one man who's very happy indeed. Alonso Lopez, the final turn, and Garcia, he can't believe it.
Dennis Foggia braked really hard on corner 13.
He really did.
So
let's have a look. Here we go, Garcia. Oh, like a light switch, wasn't it?
I think that was because they released the brakes really earlier, no, for trying to overtake Dennis, and he have too much corner speed, maybe.
He slid a long way down the road as well. Didn't quite go into the gravel trap, but here's the overtake for the victory. Here was Lopez. Great slow-mo. Just running it wide was Dennis Foggia. And up the inside went Alonso Lopez. Took the advantage and took the checkered flag as well. What a race. Incredible stuff. Sliding and bumping. Here it was to the line. It looked very close. Looked like...
finally for nothing, no?
48 hundredths of a second, so close between the top two as they came over the timing line, and Alonso Lopez.
Willy time.
Absolutely, he's not too disheartened with that one, is he? His first ever victory in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. Dennis Foggia, well, he had to settle for second best, unfortunately, that elusive maiden victory.
He's happy, yeah?
He's looking pretty pleased. And what's it like when you take your first victory? What emotions do you have?
Wow, incredible emotions. You can't control.
He certainly can't control them. He is looking very happy, and we're looking forward to chatting to him in Parc Fermé. So Alonso Lopez, 2 Estrella Galicia riders on the podium. Sergio Garcia was 4th. Ayagura for the Asia Talent team, he was first home in 5th place. Vicente Perez was 6th. Yuki Kuni 7th. Somkiat Chantra 8th. Apiwat Wong Tananon in 9th. The first Briton home was Rory Skinner. He was in P10. There we are, Dennis Foggia. Well, he doesn't look too unhappy with second.
No, not too much. No, yeah, he's happy because he did a really good race, a good overtake on the last part of the race, on the last lap to Garcia, and yeah.
Well, Dennis Foggia finishing 4th last time out gets a podium in the form of 2nd place, and Jeremy Alcoba, of course, having taken that victory last time, well, he will be very pleased with that one indeed. 3rd position, that's a good way to continue on his championship.
Yeah.
Look at the delight from the Estrella Galicia team.
Yeah, good result for Estrella Galicia team.
They're very happy with that one. I'd love to see what the celebrations are going to be like later on when they take their selves back to the paddock and have a few celebrations, I'm sure. Congratulations all round for Alonso Lopez, his maiden victory in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. Well, I bet you're glad you didn't miss that race, Alex.
Yeah. What?
I bet you're glad you didn't miss the race. I bet you're glad you were here for the race.
I hope, I don't know yet, because the hand is difficult, no? But I hope be good for Montella test.
Absolutely. Well, very unlucky, of course, for your team in this race, but I'm sure they'll come fighting back. They've got some real speed, your boys, haven't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Or you wouldn't have them in your team if they weren't quick, would you?
Yeah.
There we are. Congratulations all round for the Estrella Galicia team. Absolutely wonderful here in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. We'll be hearing from Alonso Lopez in just a couple of moments' time, and keeping an eye on those highlights from that race.
All right. Pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you very much, Alex, for joining us. A real pleasure to have you here in the commentary box, and we wish you the very best. And
thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll see you out on track next time in Mugello.
Montella,
sorry.
Yeah, we will see.
We'll wait and find out. Alex Rins, thank you very much for joining us here in the commentary box for the Junior Moto3 World Championship. What a race that was here in Le Mans. A fantastic way to continue the championship. Round 2 it was. And the riders now just getting their debriefs done. A few slaps, a few pats, and quite a few hugs. Alonso Lopez, well, what can you say? That duct has been broken. He's got the monkey off his back, and he'll be very pleased with that. Blue skies here in Le Mans. The rain stayed away for the race, and this was the final result. Alonso Lopez takes the victory from Dennis Foggia by 48 hundredths of a second. Jeremy Alcoba in third place. Sergio Garcia was fourth. Ayagura fifth. Vicente Perez for the Reale Avintia Academy team in sixth. Yuki Cooney seventh. Somkiat Chantra, the Thailand rider, home in eighth place, with Apiwat Wongtalanon for the VR46 Mastercamp team, was in ninth place. And considering where he was running after the opening few laps, that's a great recovery. Rory Skinner, the first Briton home for the KRP Racing Steps Foundation team, in 10th position. Philippe Salat, the Czech rider, he started so promisingly from 5th position on the grid, but slipped back to 11th. Aaron Palanko was 12th. Makar Yuchenko 13th. Further down the order, Josh Owens in 20th. Just in front of him, Angel Lorente. Rufino Florido 21st. Alex Ruiz in 22nd. Livan Lichel, the French rider, came home in 28th. Ryan van Laagmaart was 29th. Celestino Vianetti Ramos was 30th after starting so well. And these are all the riders that unfortunately failed to finish. 3 riders didn't make it past the first corner, and Bruno Rinaldi didn't make it past the first lap either. A very, very exciting race, I'm sure you agree, for the Junior Moto3 World Championship. We thank you ever so much for your company for this race. We're going to cross down and have a bit of a chat with the race victor, Alonso Lopez, in Parc Ferme in just a couple of moments' time, and see what his thoughts on that race were and that maiden victory. Here's Alonso Lopez.
Well, Alonso, first win of the season here at Le Mans. Congratulations for the race. What a final lap. Explain me, how was the race?
The race was very good, and it's very difficult to say because I am too excited, and you know, in the last lap I am too nervous, and I don't know. Thank you for my team, for my father, everything, and thank you for all the sponsors who support me. Thank you. Bueno, pues que es súper difícil de explicar esta sensación, es súper difícil, y bueno, que gracias a los patrocinadores, a mi padre, a toda la gente que me ha ayudado, y muchísimas gracias a todo el mundo.
A great race for Alonso Lopez, just congratulating his team, and I'm sure he will savour that victory for many, many years to come. You never forget your first one, especially at this stage, and what a place to do it. It's a great shot window, the Junior Moto3 World Championship. Teams will be keeping an eye on these riders, of course, for the 2018 Moto3 World Championship, so all these performances do not go unnoticed. And of course, just 15 years old is Alonso Lopez. What a way to take his first victory as well, in style, in the final corner. Certainly showed he's not afraid to mix it up with the big guns, the likes of Dennis Foggia, of course, who's perhaps a bit more experienced than him, and a great day all round for the Estrella Galicia team as well. Alonso Lopez, Jeremy Alcoba and Sergio Garcia all finishing inside the top 5, 2 riders on the podium, and also a much better race for the Asia Talent team as well, in the form of Ayagura finishing in 5th position. I think he will have taken that and bitten your hand off at the start of the weekend if somebody had offered that to him on a place, given how his form ended in Albacete last time out. Here were some highlights from the race. It was Makar Yuchenko on pole position. Alongside him was the number 52 of Jeremy Alcoba. Away from the lights they went. Everybody got a nice clean start, but it would all come unravelled as they came in towards the Dunlop chicane for the first time. Aaron Palenko looked like he tried to challenge as they came into the first corner. Into turn 1 they went, but it was going to be the number 52 of Jeremy Alcoba who led the way, followed by Makar Yuchenko and Somkiat Chandra. Whilst further back it all went wrong. Too many riders into the corner. The concertina effect caught up with them, and we had 3 riders out on the spot. It always happens generally here at Le Mans. Meanwhile, Somkiat Chandra briefly took the lead from Makar Yuchenko for a brief amount of time, whilst the Estrella Galicia bike squabbled over the final podium position. Over the timeline they went. Alonso Lopez went wide. Meanwhile, his teammate Jeremy Alcoba looked to try and point the spoils. This was a great bit of contact between those 2 riders. Very close racing indeed. And quietly creeping his way through was Dennis Foggia, who hit the front, unbeknownst to us here in the commentary box. 21 of Alonso Lopez closely following in behind Jeremy Alcoba in 3rd, and then keep an eye out for Jaume Masia in 4th place, because it wouldn't be long before he would hit the front as well. Meanwhile, Justito Garcia had a nasty little moment. That was a very good save indeed. Right up there with Aaron Canette's Moto3 qualifying save, that one. Did very well to hold on to it, but it would go away from him later on in the race. Meanwhile, Jaume Masia, as we mentioned, made that progress through into turns 12 and 13 here at Le Mans of the S's, and then would try and find his way through to hit the front ahead of the number 71 of Dennis Foggia. It was all going so well for Foggia and Masia, but Masia went too deep on the brakes, locked the front on the final lap of racing, went down the road, and it would all go wrong for the Cunha de Compañeros team. And it would be what we thought was the number 71 of Dennis Foggia leading the way, but he went wide into the final 2 turns, and that was just enough room for Alonso Lopez to find his way through and come across the timing line to take his maiden victory in the Junior Moto3 World Championship. What a race! Certainly won't be too displeased with that one, will Alonso Lopez? Of course, he's not old enough to spray champagne. The riders now coming out onto the podium. In fact, I don't think any of these riders are old enough to spray champagne, so they'll probably have the Casera, which is a nice tip I learned from my co-commentator last time out, Dakota Momola. That's what these younger riders have, so they'll collect their trophies, of course. Then we'll have the national anthem, and then we will have the Casera being sprayed on the podium for the HJC helmets Grand Prix de France. So the Estrella Galicia team just presented with their trophy. They don't look too dissatisfied with that at all, and who can blame them? Next up, it will then be the 3rd place man of Jeremy Alcoba. A win and a 3rd place in the opening 2 races. Certainly not anything to be snuffed at. He'll be very pleased with that result. 2nd place, Dennis Foggia. Once again, the Sky VR46 team. We saw Valentino Rossi watching on, and I think he'll have a few kind words to say to Dennis after this race. And the team there don't look too displeased at all, do they? But the victor, Alonso Lopez, the number 21, just 15 years old, from Madrid in Spain. He's very, very happy indeed. Much to the applause of the team. What a way to continue the Moto3 Junior World Championship. And he gets the fuel gas card as well. Whether he's able to drive it or not, I'm not sure. But I'm sure his parents or a good friend or relative will be able to take nice advantage of that one for Alonso Lopez. Well, Alonso Lopez certainly not too dissatisfied with that one. He'll be very, very pleased with that result. What a great way to continue on his championship charge for Alonso Lopez, and a great result for all of the team as well. Fantastic way to end the CEV Repsol Junior Moto3 World Championship race here in Le Mans. So riders now making their way, of course, off of the podium. And of course, don't forget, there is more racing to come here in Le Mans as well, in the form of the Moto3, Moto2, and of course the MotoGP race tomorrow, as the riders, of course, spraying their casera, enjoying their celebrations on the podium. And why wouldn't they? Let's be honest. So there we are. That does bring an end to the Junior Moto3 World Championship here in Le Mans. A great race, separated by just 0.04 of a second as they came to the line with Alonso Lopez and Dennis Foggia. A fantastic way to conclude the action here in France. Next time out, of course, the 11th of June, we are in Catalonia for the third round of the championship. And of course, for that round, we'll have Moto3, Moto2, and the European Talent Cup, of course, back. All three classes on the bill for the next round of the CEV Repsol. We thank you ever so much for your company in the meantime. I've been Tom Brooks. Alongside me for this race was Alex Rins from Suzuki. We hope that Alex will, of course, be out in Catalonia for the MotoGP race. We wish you all the very best. Keep up to date with all of the action, and we'll see you next time out for the FIM CEV Repsol in Catalonia on the 11th of June. Take care. Ta-da!